Welcome back everyone to UVTA Premium, and in this video we're just going to go over a brief topic regarding the 3 and 4 crop combos. In the previous video we mentioned sort of how they're set up, how they operate, and how to score. But I think in this video we just want to go a little bit more in depth so that viewers are crystal clear on exactly what to expect with those 3 and 4 crop combos. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dig in. Alright, so in previous videos we mentioned how 2 crop combos score. If you look over here, that's anything that's spatially adjacent in the market in a horizontal fashion is eligible for a 2 crop combo. And how do we score that? Well, we score it by simply totaling up the individual crop amounts based on their values in the farmers market, and then after that we combine that and double the total amount. So, for instance, if I had squash and cucumbers, in this particular case it would be 10 points for squash, 4 points for cucumbers, 14, and then we double it. Okay. Now, what happens if you have excess crops? That's another thing we should talk about. So for instance, if I have a regular 2 crop combo, then what happens if I have a 3rd crop, right? Well, let's say it's broccoli. Okay? So what you would do before you're ready to harvest, you take a look at these 3 in the market and you'd say, okay, here's broccoli, here's squash and cucumbers. Well, squash and cucumbers have that vaulted position, the 2 crop combo. But the broccoli is down here by its lonesome, and so it's not going to score anything beyond the regular bonuses, which are listed here on the board, for matching crops with the cover crop, the right cover crop, and for harvesting them at the peak growing season, or that's when they flip over. When the ripe crop is ready in the market. So in this particular case, what we would do is, we'd harvest everything, cultivate, harvest. When we're ready to harvest, we see, okay, so I have one that's disconnected from the other 2. So what would I do? Well, you would just score it normally. So for instance, let's say in this case, cucumbers and squash, we would probably do the 2 crop combo first, just to get that out of the way, or not. It's user preference at this point how you score, just so long as it's clear, concise, and it logically flows from what you're doing, previous actions and activities that you were doing in UVTA. As long as it's all clear in your mind, it'll make more sense. It'll flow logically from all the opportunities in the game to score. Anyway, so here we go. We have squash and cucumbers. They're both on the right fields. So notice that before I score my 2 crop combo, I have to look at what my bonuses are. Well, I've got 3 and 3. So it's going to be 10 plus 3 is 13, and then 4 plus 3 is 7. So 13 and 7 sums up to 20. And then we double that because it's a 2 crop combo. So what we would do is we'd go ahead and score that. Here's our discard pile. And then we'd score 40. Right? Now, at this point, we're not ready to assess whether or not a subsidy is involved because we're still waiting on the broccoli to be harvested. It's a regular harvest, and it's not on the right field, so it's only going to get its regular crop value in the market, which is 2. Notice that, yes, it still moves up, as do cucumbers and squash, unless, of course, a fender doodle is on top of them. So we have the 40, and then we add 2, and now, finally, we are ready to add the subsidy. So subsidies should be considered last whenever you're doing the harvest. And then that would go to last place, and the grower collects the funds that they earned, and that's that. So that's how you handle extraneous crops as they're harvested alongside a multi-crop bonus. Okay, so that takes care of the 2-crop combo. What about a 3-crop combo? Well, the same principles apply, but you do need to know what the particulars are when it comes to procedural problems that might arise. So let's take a look at this again. We're going to change our 2-crop combo, except now it's going to accommodate, let's say, I don't know, radishes. Okay. So now we got radishes. Okay, so how does the 3-crop combo work? Well, it can work in any combination with a 2-crop combo, so long as it's spatially and or vertically adjacent to the previous crops. Okay, so in this case, here's an example. I have 2. Let's say beans and broccoli. I have beans and broccoli, and then I want to add one. It'll be peas. Notice that this is a legal one. This is a legal one because a legal score because the beans and the broccoli are apart from each other, spatially adjacent horizontally, and then the peas are spatially adjacent in a vertical fashion to the beans. So a 3-crop combo can exist like this, or it could go like this, right? The other opportunities are up here and over here, right? So every configuration I just showed you yields a 3-crop combo. Okay. And then scoring would be the same if you had extra crops besides the 3-crop combo. You would do what we did in the previous example, which is you would score the lone items, the items that are separate. You would score those alongside whatever the multi-crop bonus was, and then add everything up together to create a lump sum for subsidies. Okay, so that should be pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and look at our official example of a 3-crop combo. In this particular case, we got squash, cucumbers, and radishes. Squash, cucumbers, and radishes. Okay, and so the radishes aren't spatially adjacent to the squash, but they are vertically adjacent to the cucumbers, so that's a valid 3-crop combo. And now I'll just go about my business scoring it. There's no extra crops to worry about in this one, so we'll just do what we can. We got squash on squash, cucumbers on cucumbers, radishes on radishes, so I have 3 bonuses that I'm going to tack on to before I administer the multi-crop bonus. Okay, so it's going to be 11 plus 3 is 14, 5 plus 3 is 8, and then 4 plus 3 is 7. So we got 8 plus 7 plus 14. We got 15 and 14. That comes out to 29. And so then we're going to triple 29. So what is that, 29? Okay, so that's the procedural steps you would take to complete a 3-crop combo. Now let's look at a 4-crop combo, which sounds self-explanatory, but in fact there are a few minor details that you do have to kind of be aware of. So I'll try to go through that here. A 4-crop combo plays out exactly the way it sounds. Let's see if we've got one here. Alright, so our example is going to include corn, chard, beans, and broccoli. And I think for good measure we'll just add one more, because let's say we own, I don't know, in this particular game we own the high tunnel. What does the high tunnel do again? Well, let's take a look. It allows us to plant an extra crop on a field space. So that's a pretty good deal. That's what we like to see. Sorry. Okay. So we're ready for our 4-crop combo. So the one stipulation, the one regulation that you kind of have to be aware of is the rule regarding the square of the 4-crop combo. That's what I'm going to call it anyway. What does that mean? It just means when you're ready to harvest your 4-crop combo, all the items have to be spatially adjacent to each other in order for it to be a valid 4-crop combo. Meaning simply that they have to form a square. And they have to be next to each other. Each one is vertically and horizontally adjacent in a spatial fashion toward each other. Okay? So here's a legit 4-crop combo. You can see by restricting it to this one configuration, it means that it's harder to create this scoring opportunity, and so it's rare. Therefore, it's going to be justified in its as its final score. So here's a corn, chard, beans, and broccoli. That's what we have matched up in here. All right, so that looks good. Now, what if we didn't have that? What if we had something else? Like, let's say we had potatoes. And see, this is the configuration we find in the farmer's market. We've got potatoes, chard, beans, corn. So we've got 3 that are vertically adjacent. But notice how this one is not adjacent to the other 2. Right? The rule is that each crop has to be spatially adjacent to at least 2 other members of the 4-crop combo. And that's not what we find here, because the chard is not connected to anything except corn. Alright? But if we take potatoes out, and we go back to our broccoli, we see that, oh, okay. So, yep, corn is adjacent to chard and beans, chard is adjacent to corn and broccoli, and then so on, in an endless loop. Okay, so, bearing that in mind, we're going to go ahead and harvest. But we're adding, with our high tunnel, we're adding an extra crop, a 5th crop. Not the 5th beetle, but a 5th crop. Okay. So here we go. I think it was Pete Best, wasn't it? Somebody. Musicians would know. Okay, so here we go. We're ready to harvest. We're cultivating and harvesting everything. And what we're going to do is, whenever you have crops that are not connected to a multi-crop combo, you should probably do those last. That's just a consideration you can make. It's not it's not spelled out precisely. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But I think for the sake of clarity and logic, and just to make things easier to follow, it might be easier. It might be better to just hold off on that and wait until after you're done with the big figuring. Okay, so here's our 4-crop combo: chard, corn, beans, broccoli. Let's just see which ones are on the right one. We've got corn. We've got chard on the right one. Beans are not. Broccoli is. Okay. So it's a little tricky. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. So chard's going to be 9 plus 3. Corn's going to be 3 plus 3. 6 plus 12 is 18. And then broccoli is 2 plus 3. So that's 5. It's 18 and 5 is 23. So we're going to double that. I'm sorry. We're not doubling. We're adding everything up together. So that's 23. And then the beans are going to add up to 8. So it doesn't sound like that much. 23 plus 8, that's only what, 31, right? But what's going to happen now is all 4 of them are to get combined in a 4-crop combo, which means we're taking 31 and we're going to double it, right? So that's 124, I think. So yeah, now you're talking a major score. Not only that, we have 124. We have 124, but then we also have potatoes to add on top of that. They're not harvested on the right one, but they're worth 10 points. So our combined total, the 4-crop combo plus the lone crop, is actually 134. And you're saying, you might be saying, like, wait, why would you want to do that? Because doesn't that make every game, it's going to be a lopsided win, right? Well, not necessarily, because multi-crop combos are a late to middle game feature they're going to show up in tightly contested games, and everyone's going to have an opportunity to score those multi-crop combos. And so the defense against them matters just as much, right? So these are things to look forward to. How can I stop my fellow grower from acquiring all this stuff? Right? And I think you'll find it's pretty fascinating and very engaging, captivating to do this. So anyway, what do we score? 134? Man, that's a big haul. 30, 60, 90, 100, 30. Alright, so if we're going to do the subsidy amount on 134, that's over 10%. It's 134, so it's 13.4. That rounds down to 13. So 13 big ones goes to last place, which sounds like a lot, but not when you consider the spread or the amount that was just harvested. It's considerable. So again, these are a late game feature that should add a lot of enjoyment, a lot of nail-biting suspense right there at the end of the game. So let me know if you have any questions. You can always leave a comment below on the video. If you're confused, because UFTA is a fairly absorbing, a fairly intensive activity. You do have to think. Not an athletic endeavor, but definitely a mental endeavor. So with that, we'll leave it there. And until next time, keep on playing UFTA. I'll see you then. Bye.